Hi, my name is Carmen, and today I'm here essentially to uh, demonstrate the main functionality of my project. Let's start with the virtual function. So let's go into code blocks. We are in the crew header file, and we are going to create a virtual function called display crew details. So here is the virtual function that we created. It's here highlighted there. So that function is mainly, if we go in the CPP file, we can see what that function is doing essentially. So it is essentially just showing the crew details. So the crew name, the crew ID, and the script that was sent by that crew member. So now let's override it in the director and the actor file. So in the director header, we're gonna go and create a function, the same function, display crew details, and in the actor header, we're gonna do the same thing. You can see here. So now in the director CPP file, we're gonna override this function. So there it is. So here, this display crew details is going to display the details for the director, and the actor file would do the same thing. Here we do the same thing, and it's going to display the details of the actor. Right now, those two functions those two functions, so like the display crew detail function in the actor CPP and the director CPP, will override the function in the crew CPP. So yeah, like I said before, you will have the crew name, the ID number, and the script sent by the actor and the director. So it's gonna be doing. So now let's do the pointer field. So in the movie header, we change the crew vector into a pointer object, right? So we added the asterisk here and wrote the pointer here. So it's gonna create a pointer, a crew pointer, right? A movie crew pointer. So now in the add function crew, we made it as if we changed it to be able to accept pointers instead of vector object, right? And we did the same as well for the remove crew in the movie file. So now we have this function called the display movie details. So if we go into the movie CPP, we have this movie display details here, right? So this function is essentially just gonna display like all the elements of that movie. So the title of the movie, which is the movie title that's up there, and the max number of crew and the crews in the movie. But like there's one thing you should notice that here, right? It says for if the number of crew, so now we're using the crew pointer instead of using the crew object. So it says that if the number of crew in the movie is inferior to the size of the pointer movie crew, then you can display the crew details of that number. So like each number is going to go for every single once. It's going to go in this for loop and check every single crew member, and if their position, like the index, is inferior to the pointer size, it's just going to display that crew details right here. So you remember when I said that the display crew detail function was overwritten by the function in the director and the actor. So when we run the program, we can see it here. If you see here, like we are gonna, let's see to this function. So we'll call it in the main CPP. We're gonna be calling the display function, the display movie details. So display movie details. So we go here now in the command, and we can see that the movie details displayed there, like the movie title, the max number of crew, the crew in the movie. Now display, here we can see here the function display crew members is operating. So we can notice here that instead of just displaying all the crew details, is displaying the actor details. So the crew details for the actor and the crew details for the director. So they are in each sections. So that just yeah. So we had that, but that didn't happen just like that. So we had to go in the same main function, and every time we were adding a crew member, we had to specify if that crew member is a director or that crew member is an actor so that that display crew detail function will know which one to take. So in the add crew function, we're going to be passing the object type director and or actor into it. So if you see here, we specified that, okay, this guy is a director and this guy is an actor, right? So now we created a new movie called Cool Beans. So now in the add crew function of that movie, we're adding the actor. So we put it a pointer, it's going to point into this actor that we created, right? And we added again another member that's going to point into this member that we created here, which is a director, right? And then with the side, we're going to display the movie details for this movie that we created. So if you go into now again, the command, you can see that here, that we have the actor details, we have the director details, because that the display crew details was able to see, okay, this one is an actor, this one is a director. I'm going to find the details for the actor and the details for the director, and I'm going to be showing it. So now we're going to look at the overloading comparator operator. So we have two different overloading operator that we could work with, the comparison operator and the IO operator, but we choose to use the comparison operator because we found it to be the simpler version, because the IO can be called in the middle of an output statement, and it cannot return an std or stream by value, and if that happens, it's going to have a compile error. So it was very complicated for us, so we decided to leave that and use the comparator. It's a bit longer, but it's simpler, and we will not it will help us not to get compiler errors. So what we did is that we used the Boolean operator because we're going to compare the crew object, and we made it like a friend. We made it friend, so we'll be able to access those values by putting a friend. We'll make sure that we'll be able to access those values. So now we go into the CPP, the crew CPP file, and we have the Boolean operating functions here. We have the equality operator, the non-equality operator, the superiority, and the inferiority one. So for the equality one, we're using this function, which is going to check the name of that crew member and compare it, and also the ID number and compare it, and also for it to be equal, it has the ID of the two members must be the same time as the name. Now we go with the Boolean operator. So we're on the non-equal operator here. It's gonna obviously compare the crew M1 and the crew M2 that we will create in the main function, and it's going to compare them to see if they're equal or not. So now the Boolean operator to check the superiority of the members, to find which one is superior to the other one. So literally it will just check if the first letter, it just compare the names and check whatever has the biggest alphabet, whichever has the bigger alphabet, which means that, okay, it will check the first letter of the name and check the alphabet and which one has the bigger number. And it will return that value. And literally it will do the same thing for this function as well, and just show if it's superior. It will just show if it's superior, but check it if it's like the opposite of what we checked here. Like I said before, this is easier because we can just evaluate, and we know that the equal operator, to have the non-equal operator is the opposite of the equal operator, and the inferior operator is literally the opposite of the superior operator, which makes it easier for us to do. So now let's test this in the main CPP file. So here we have this crew member that we created called Sarah, and with her ID number, and this crew called Bean with its ID number. So now we have an if function. So if C2 is superior to C3, we just have to see out. So we have to print just that Sarah is superior to Bean, and if not, else just print that it's inferior. So you can just see here how it's so easy to implement this, and it prevents from having like any compiler error. It might take a while to write it down, but it's just easier to type it. It's just easier to type it and get the values that you want. So this can be used in the program if we want to like sort out the number, like sort out the crew members by name. We can just use the overloading operator if we want to sort them out by name. That's what we can do. So now we're going to have the destructor test in the crew CPP file. So open the CPP file, and we have the script pointer, right? We have to personally delete the script pointer because the compiler doesn't do it because it's static. So we have to delete. So what the destructor will do is that it will delete the script pointer along with the object. So you can see it here. We have the function delete, and it will delete the script pointer there and put it to 0, and at the same time it's going to delete the object, the crew object itself. So we'll have it see out the crew member name that has been deleted, and it will just say, oh, it has been deleted. So yeah, that's just it for the destructor. So now we're going to go into the main CPP and see how all these functionalities are literally put forward there. For example, we can have a destructor test here in the main. So we created this movie called Avenger there, and we created this crew called Steve with his ID, and we added the crew to the movie, and we display the details, so just with that only crew member. And we can also remove the crew if we want. So because it doesn't really have to do nothing to do with the destructor, so we don't really need to put that. It's optional. And then we display the movie details. So the destructor is we're gonna see how the destructor is gonna literally remove this crew member there. And if we go into the command, we can see it here. We can see the movie title, Avenger, the maximum number of crew in the movie, and the crew is in the movie. So the only crew member that we have, which is Steve, with his ID and the script that he sent, is to actually just show what the destructor is doing. We can see that all the members that we created, so literally all the crew members that we created along in our project are destructed at the end. So you can see the member actor destructed, the director, Bean, Sarah, and Steve that we created as well are all like destructed. So that's just it. Thank you so much for listening. I hope I was able to be clear enough, and I hope you keep safe. Bye.